You're going on 5 years retired?
Yep.
Congratulations, your insurance is running out.
Yep. One more year. Thank you, NFL.
Thank you for the 5 years. That should be lifetime. One of these insurances should just step up and become the lifetime insurance partner of the NFL or whatever.
Smart.
It's an easy marketing ploy. It's a massive piece of conversation between the NFLPA and retired players, because retired players tell the NFLPA to go fuck themselves because it seems like they don't take care of retired players. And every player in the league doesn't fully understand that you're going to be a retired player someday. So everything that's happening for retired players that you're voting on right now is who you are going to be someday. 100% of you are going to be that. So there's like kind of a joust game going on between active NFL, like, yeah, we're here, we're doing this, let's worry about us. And then also like, oh, us though, also going to be this group of guys who I'm very lucky and very fortunate to be where I'm at in my life. But a lot of guys don't necessarily have that type of thing happen. Yeah. That's why documentaries take place where 80% of guys are broke and 80% of this, they don't have health insurance. It's like at some point there has to be some answer. And I actually pitched this at a, what is that called when everybody sits in a circle?
Summit.
No, it's actual circle, like round.
Powwow.
Round table.
Fire chat?
No, it wasn't a fire. It was like
a town hall.
Yeah, it's called something. It was one.
Who were you with?
Like a G20 summit?
The commish was in there.
Conference?
The commish.
Oh, was it when he came to visit you guys?
No, it was at the draft. This was at the draft when I was making the draft
Breakout
announcement.
group?
Oh, like an Illuminati meeting. That's what you're talking about.
That's what it sounds like.
only you've
Circle,
been to that.
That's what you're trying to make it
Commissioner.
sound like.
No, it's a.
Was Obama there too?
candles.
Eyes wide shut.
Don't sleep on Barry O.
There was no presidents there. There was no mass. There was no fuckery. Okay, it was just a discussion.
Sounds like a good time, though.
Well, it actually got pretty intense in there.
Was Steve Jobs there?
Steve Jobs. It was only NFL associated people.
that one old-
Oh, Bezos then.
Well, he was not in the NFL at that time, but
Bill Gates.
I don't think he would have been in this one. Anyways, Bill Gates was not there.
Surface Pro.
The Surface. I thought Zito did research on what the name of the meeting was. Turns out he's just talking about pool parties.
Sure. Steve Ballmer.
He was not there. He's in the NBA. Nonetheless, we can see. You guys can keep, thinking of people. I'm assuming they're not going to be there, but maybe in my recollection of the day,
Papa.
it might be different. Schnatter was not there or whatever.
DeMaurice Smith.
He was not there either. This was just, that's why it was interesting though. It was like NFL talking to NFL alumni and NFL legends that were doing the draft picks. Troy Vincent was in there. Roger Goodell was in there. I forget who else. And then there was like 20 guys kind of sitting in it was supposed to be like a casual discussion, I think, is how it was supposed to be, like a roundtable discussion almost. Like, hey, let's just talk. And picking where I sat I was by far the youngest person in there and shouldn't have been there. Now, I would go on to do the draft thing that night after Reggie Wayne buries the Titans. I'd go do that. So that day was a wild day for sure. But they were talking about a lot of different issues with retired players and Goodell and how they can do things differently. And, it was like, I want to hear stuff. Taking notes. There was actual notes happening. He had top button unbuttoned.
Oh, casual.
Casual. I think 1 point leg cross.
Wow.
Sitting back like that. Like since I wasn't really felt comfortable to speak, just doing a lot of listening, watching, and just like, oh, how's this thing going? Slater's dad was in there. Jackie
Slater, yep.
Jackie Slater was in there. I think he had been in a couple of these before because he was very comfortable. Like in the things he was saying, I was like, okay, sounds like somebody is experiencing something that I might experience 10, 15 years from now, or friends of mine might experience, and he seems to be taken in. Roger seemed to be very responding to it. Troy did some speaking too, very positive. And then there was like an altercation that took place about insurance. Like it got like, there was like a lot of people that were like chiming in on that one. It felt like the meeting was coming to an end. The time we all kind of felt that it was coming to an end. One person brought up the subject of insurance, and then like 3, 4, it became like, and I was like, oh, all right, like a team. It almost felt like, oh, here we go. Like, all right, now this is what we came for almost, it feels like. And Roger Goodell had an incredible answer, answered it, said we're trying to figure it out. But the NFLPA is the one that's kind of taken over the insurance benefits and everything like that. Like they're the ones taking care of the benefits and what they're raising money for, and 5 years insurance for vested players and everything like that. And the NFL is a part of the matching of the 401ks. But the NFLPA, I think, has always been the ones that have been fighting for the insurance and for everything like that. So as that was all going on, and the NFLPA has got a lot on their hands, I mean, I would not want to do that job. I would never do that job. So it's hard for me to completely judge it because I haven't been in there. But outside looking in, they probably fucked up some things. And I spoke up for the first time ever at the end of it, like at the very end of it. I said, don't we think that one of these insurance companies that sponsors the league, which there is plenty. We see their commercials all the goddamn time. If I see Mr. Mayhem, who I'm a big fan of,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Mayhem. Like, I think he is hilarious. I think those are good concepts. Isn't there some insurance company that we could easily, like, bundle a deal with the NFL to also take care of retired players' insurance for, like, life or whatever? Now, I know that's going to be a big deal, but can't we somehow work that type of deal? Or in the next deal, the next CBA, can't you put something? I feel like this is an easy marketing fix or whatever. And I got the reaction was fantastic. It was, oh yeah, maybe, yeah, it's a good point. We'll write that down. And then the meeting was over. So now, like now that it's like a couple years later, I would like to revisit that. Like, I think that is, I
Are
think,
they saying there's too many old, like if they try, like there's too many old players that they instantly have to get lifetime insurance, like all those old guys, and then everyone that continues to, you know, if you're vested and then all of a sudden you're retired or you're out of the league?
yeah, we're like 15, 20 years, you know, like or 5 years.
I'm with you.
5
Yeah.
years, guys' bodies are still kind of keeping up.
Yeah.
Then, you know, it's almost like it was almost done like as a strategy. Like they have the stats like after 5 years. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like that's kind of how it feels, I think, as a, by the way, this is not for me. I'm just talking about for all my friends, basically, that I'm kind of watch go through this. There has to be some insurance that has so much fucking money in the insurance business. There has to be some sort of bundle, 10-year, 15-year, just a little bit more. But we're talking about former NFL players, and everybody says they're spoiled anyway. So I just think that is something that could take place in the NFL.
Well, in the same way they have sports books, though, right? Like they have multiple sports books that sponsor the league. Can't they have multiple, like, insurance
They do.
agencies
They
that
do.
can
They
sponsor
do.
the league?
Oh, yeah.
They got Flow.
Yeah.
So
they
could
got
they do,
Mayhem.
like,
Allstate, State Farm.
Could they do time periods with each different insurance?
Like
way
10
you're saying?
years, 10 years,
Exactly,
10 years.
yeah. So it's a 30-year total. But
And then
it's
you can
10
get
at a time
commercials from the guys.
who are in that bracket.
For sure. That's easy content to be made, too. And it's also like goodwill, right? Isn't it, AJ? I think this is goodwill, taking care of old stars.
I mean, it sounds like a pretty good plan. I just, you know, they're all about money. So if they
Yeah.
can find a way to do it and still make their money, they'll do
These
it.
insurance companies too, the greediest of the greedy corporate fat cats.
True.
Oh, true.
They don't want a bunch of broken down NFL guys with tons of issues too.
Well, and I assume like
Well, that's the problem, though. Sometimes it's hard for guys to
know.
find insurance because, like, some insurance won't take them when it's the only insurance that they can really qualify. It's like a very pick and choose. You need to have it, but also pick and choose. And I'm not getting into an entire insurance discussion, but I'm just talking about for the retired guys, what I have seen happen. I don't know the full conversation enough. I don't know how many people, but if you get vested guys, I mean,
Yeah.
there's a number of those guys.
And even the benefits, like the line of duty and the disability stuff, like they make it so difficult for players to get that type of stuff to the point where they have to, like I know friends who have had 8, 9 surgeries, have been on IR multiple times, and they still got to go hire a lawyer and get the benefits and then, you know, pay the lawyer 30, 40 grand after they get it. And it's like, well, if you played 5 years in the NFL, you should sign a paper, hand it in, and then that should start the process. Because if you played 5 years, if you played 10 years, if you played however long, you've dealt with significant injuries. You know what I mean? So
And also, you got to go through like multiple doctors, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's almost one of
crazy.
those processes where, like, you'll